Good evening. Tonight is the meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for the Town of LaSalle. I'm your chairperson. My name is John Lee, and I call the meeting to order. I'm going to please bear with us. This is our first virtual meeting on this through Zoom, and let's carry on. I'm going to take a roll call of the members, and I'm going to ask each of the members when I call their name that they verbally identify that they're present or not present. So first one, James Boscario. James Boscario, can you hear me?
Present.
Thank you. Vince Marcotte. Is your mic working?
Yeah.
Awesome. Valentina.
Here.
Thank you. Valentina Bernoni.
Present.
Teresa Nicodemo.
Here.
Ryan Tufts, Planning Technician, Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment.
Here.
Alan Burgess, Supervisor of Planning and Development.
Here.
And again, I'm your chairperson, and my name is John Lee. All applicants are subject to a 20-day appeal period. Any person desiring to appeal a decision of this Committee of Adjustment may, upon request in writing to the Secretary, receive a copy of the decision to be used for an appeal. The appeal for filing an appeal can be obtained from the Secretary Treasurer. Again, I just want to remind everybody that this is a virtual meeting of the Committee of Adjustment, and we would ask for your patience as we go through this meeting. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? None noted. Could we have an adoption of the minutes from January 22nd, 2020, Committee of Adjustment meeting? Is there a motion? Vince?
So moved. So
Moved
moved.
by Vince. Seconder? Jim? And that
Yes.
carries. Mr. Tufts, are there any requests for a deferral or withdrawal of any application or applications?
We have two deferrals tonight, A0320 file 4089 and A0420 file 4090.
Thank you. Okay, the first application for tonight is A0220, file number 4086, 3963 Donato Drive. It's an application for a minor variance for Donato. It's an application for minor variance to allow a maximum accessory structure to increase in size from 100 square meters to 117 square meters. Mr. Donato, you can speak on this matter. Please introduce yourself and provide a brief explanation of your application and confirm that you've read and understood the staff report.
Yeah, I've read it, understand it. It's just for an overhang on the accessory garage.
Okay. I'm going to ask committee members, do they have any questions of Mr. Donato? Mr. Marcotte?
Yes, just a question. I think this is the second time that this has come up before the committee. And I don't know maybe who we address it to, but I believe on the applicant, it said that the builder was not aware that the overhang was part of the square footage coverage, same as last time. Just hope this isn't the same builder who keeps telling us he wasn't aware of it. You know, one thing is one thing, now it's twice. Like, either that or we're not making them aware of what they should be doing as well. I've got no trouble with the application. It looks good, but this, is this going to be happening often?
I built my house myself, sorry. Only one.
So then you're only the one, right? So
Yeah, no,
the
I'm
other
not.
guy told us the same thing though.
No, I don't build houses.
Okay.
Any other questions as a committee? No. Does committee have any questions of administration?
Maybe that's a better question to administration.
Alan?
Just to make the committee aware, we have had the discussions with the building department. They are having those discussions with the individual contractors, trying to get the message across that these overhangs or pergolas or sun shelters, extended roofs are all part, if they are attached to the buildings, they are considered for coverage. So we continue to work with building staff and others to bring across that message. And it will be something that we will look to further address as we rewrite the new zoning bylaw.
Thank you.
Having heard any comments or concerns made by administration, agencies, and the public, is the committee ready to make a decision? Vince,
I would so move the recommendation.
the seconder? Jim and Val, all in favor? That motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Donati. All right. Second matter for consideration for tonight.
Thank you very much, guys. Okay, thanks.
Second matter for consideration tonight, application B0320, file number 4087. It's Front Road, consent application, Philip Bazaar and Pamela Bazaar. And the application is for a consent for a lot addition to 2799 Front Road.
Yeah.
Mr. Bazaar, you can speak to the matter. Please introduce yourself and provide an explanation of your application. And can you please confirm that you've read and understood the staff report? Al?
Unfortunately, we are having a little bit of technical difficulties with Phil's connection this evening. Basically, Mr. Bazaar was looking at trying to create a more regular lot line as part of this application for the lot addition. I don't know if the committee has any questions of the applicant. We have not had any concerns raised by the public at this time. I turned to Ryan to ask if he's received anything, and we have not. I don't know if the committee has any questions or if they feel or if they are comfortable with making this decision, then they can proceed. Otherwise, we would have to ask that this item be deferred until the next agenda and it be brought back. So I'll leave it to the thoughts of the committee to see how they want to proceed.
Committee, are there any questions relating to Mr. Bazaar regarding this application? Vince?
Just to confirm, on page 75, we have the drawing with the added triangle to the side. Is that what we're talking about? Because if that's it, you're right, there's no.
That is correct. Basically, the triangular piece of property is being added to the neighboring property. It's being taken off the farm. And basically, as I understand it, it's lands that's generally already being utilized by the neighbor. And they're just trying to kind of legitimize what the practice has been.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the committee? No. Any questions for administration from the committee other than Vince's? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve it. Yes.
Thanks, Val. Do we have a seconder? Okay, Jim, and all in favor? That's great. That carries. That's approved. Thank you, Mr. Bazaar. All right, moving on. The third matter for consideration tonight is application B0520, file number 4091 on Kennard Drive. It's a consent application 2690302 Ontario Incorporated in care of Cindy Prince. And the application is for consent of a lot addition to 55 Mallard Lane. Ms. Prince, you may speak to the matter. Please introduce yourself and provide a brief explanation of your application. And please confirm that you've read and understood the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I trust that you can hear me okay.
Perfectly fine. Thank you.
Great. Congratulations on your first virtual meeting. Pretty exciting to be a part of it. So,
Thank you. We're excited.
so far. So, hello, Mr. Marcotte. How are you, sir?
How are you, Cindy? Very good, thank you.
Long time no see. It's really nice to see you. So the nature of our application, and I'm here with Kurt Dunn. Kurt's the applicant and the owner of the property. And Kurt is hopeful to put an addition on his existing garage on his home. And he fortunately also owns the property immediately next door. And in order to comply with the setbacks of the zoning bylaw, he wants to take a little bit off of his other property, if you will, and join it to the property where his home and this detached garage that he wants to expand is located. And so we've read the staff report. We agree with it. The staff report does correctly indicate that it's a lot addition to 55 Mallard Lane, but I think the notice got its ducks mixed up instead of having its ducks in a row, and it made reference to Kennard Lane. And so, but it is Mallard Lane that the lot addition is proposed to go onto. And I think that was a question that some of the neighbors had, so I wanted to clarify that. And so Mr. Dunn is wanting to add some property onto his existing lot where his home is, from a lot he owns next door where his home is not, and it's a vacant parcel.
Thank you very much. Committee members, do you have any questions of Mrs. Prince? Seeing none. Committee members, do you have any questions of administration? Vince, go ahead.
Just a question on page 90 of our handout. What exactly are we severing? Is it that dotted line?
That is correct, Vince.
Okay,
The dotted line is the portion that is coming off, and it was the map was shown that way just to detail, because when we look at the entirety of the property, the severance is so small that you wouldn't recognize it if we were to show the whole of the site, and that's why it was a close-up view of just the lands which are being severed. But in fact, it is just, so basically the shape is irregular. Basically, it accommodates the proposed addition, and it minimizes the impact on any existing wetlands. I worked closely with the engineering staff along with the Conservation Authority staff, and to come up with the concept of how little could be taken away from that existing lot, so that we didn't create additional issues with additional authorities. And so hopefully that helps.
just follow up, if I may, Mr. Chair. So the property is moving from the right to the left.
That's
Looking at the picture.
That's correct. So the vacant land where the orange line is the land which is
On the orange line, but
see where the orange line goes. That's the lot addition, that triangular shape, and that's going to be added to the neighboring property where those buildings are, and that'll allow that building to expand.
thank you.
Any other questions of administration from the committee? Seeing none. Having heard any comments or concerns made by administration, agencies, and the public, is the committee ready to make a decision? Is there a motion?
Move
Jim?
acceptance. I move acceptance.
Okay, and do we have a seconder? Val?
Yep.
And all in favor? All right, Teresa, were you all in favor? I didn't see her. I was switching screens. Thank you. That carries, and thank you very much. That's approved.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Take care, Cindy.
Welcome to our virtual meeting. It's working well.
It was awesome. Thank you. And have a good night. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks very much. Fourth matter for consideration tonight, application B0620, files 4092, 1030 Martin Lane, consent application Vito Calufo, care of Colin Talbert and Tanya Bratt, application for consent for a lot addition to 998 Martin Lane. Mr. Calvert, Ms. Bratt, you may now speak to the matter. Please introduce yourself and provide a brief explanation for your application, and please confirm that you've read and understand the staff report, please.
Hi, my name's Tanya Bratt, 998 Martin Lane. And yes, I read everything and understood everything. And I was just here to see if we could create a lot addition to our property, more or less for my daughter to have an more grassier area to play and to put her trampoline and stuff.
Okay. Committee members, do you have any questions for Ms. Bratt? No. Teresa?
Teresa's getting some IT support.
I wasn't sure if she had her hand up.
There we go.
Okay. All right. Vince, you have a question?
Just what sizes do we really have? Is it 235 feet or 71.6 meters? So this, I went to visit the property and I just want to be sure.
Okay. Retained parcel land will have a footage of 72 meters and a depth of 50 meters. Having an area approximately 3,600 square meters.
71 meters is how many feet? Just like, isn't that like over 2,000 feet?
Vince, 71 meters is about 235 feet.
232,
Okay.
but he's counting.
Okay. Any other questions of the committee? Alan?
From administration, we have had an inquiry with regards to the application. I just wanted to confirm that the purpose of the lot addition was not for commercial purposes. It's not to operate businesses. Basically, that the intent of this property is basically, as you said, is that it's the area for your daughter and for your family to enjoy the property and just have a little bit larger property.
Yes.
Great, thank you very much.
Committee members, any other questions for administration? Seeing none. Having heard any comments or concerns made by administration agencies and the public, is the committee ready to make a decision? Is there a motion?
So moved.
All right, Vince, and do we have a seconder? Val? All right,
Teresa.
Teresa, sorry, I'm switching screens back and forth. There you are.
No problem. No
Thank you.
problem.
Seconder is Teresa. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. That's approved. Thanks very much.
Thank you very
Okay. The fifth matter for consideration for tonight is B0720, file number 4093, concession one part of lots 16 and 17. The consent application, Christopher and James Bezaire in care of Luigi DiPerdomenico, an application for a consent lot for a lot addition to a vacant parcel of land on Malden Road. Mr. DiPerdomenico, you may now speak to the matter. Please introduce yourself and provide a brief explanation of the application. And please confirm that you have read and understand the staff report.
First of all, let me congratulate everyone and to come into the Zoom world. I think this is probably a preferable policy once everybody gets used to it for these Committee of Adjustment severance hearings, because it's awfully convenient for everyone. As regards the staff report, I've read it and I understand it. Just to give you a little background with respect to this application, the application is made by Chris and James Bezaire as the estate trustees of the estate of Marianne DePape. Marianne DePape was formerly Marianne Bezaire. Here's how this thing developed historically. Gerard Bezaire, her husband, a very nice man, he owned the entire farm. And in 1986, he brought an application to sever off a lot. And that's the lot that's about 108 feet by 200 plus feet deep. That application was approved by the Committee of Adjustment of LaSalle in 1986. And pursuant to that application, the lot itself was conveyed from Gerard Bezaire to Gerard Bezaire and Marianne Bezaire. And so it naturally got a distinction of different ownership. So it was distinct by way of ownership. Following that, Gerard unfortunately died at a very young age. And that was a hard thing for Marianne and all of the kids. In any event, after Gerard's death, the property went to Marianne alone by reason of Gerard's will. So she became the sole owner of the property. As a result of that, the farm went into Marianne's name alone, and the lot went into Marianne's name alone as the sole beneficiary of Gerard. Fortunately, the amendments to the Planning Act that say once a lot, always a lot, went through the province in 1979. As a result of that, it didn't matter that the farm and the lot were in the common name of Marianne, because the Planning Act provisions in 1979 carried forward to keep that lot a distinct and unique parcel of land capable of transfer. So that's the way things stood. And Marianne Marianne was a classmate of mine, starting from grade school. And so was Phil Bezaire, matter of fact. In any event, after Marianne's death, the children are trying to wind up the estate. And they agreed to sell the lot to these people that I've described in the application of Mr. Beadle and his common law wife. Now, when they did that, Mr. Beadle and his common law wife wanted an extra 50 feet at the back of the lot. And that's the reason for this application. We're trying to accommodate the terms of the agreement of purchase and sale between the estate and these purchasers. Now, I've had the good fortune of not only speaking with Mr. Burgess prior to this application, but after submitting the application. And I've not only reviewed the staff report, but I've managed to have a discussion with Mr. Burgess on it. With respect to the concern that was brought forward by Mr. Milson and the cedar bushes, no part of this application will affect the cedar bushes whatsoever. So while I recognize that as a concern, it's just not applicable by reason of the unique nature of the severance request. Now, there is a problem with an abutting owner of the farm. The abutting owner of the farm, his property fronts on Martin Lane. And in my discussions with Mr. Burgess and after reviewing the staff report, it's quite clear that this abutting owner wanted more rear to his property. Well, had we known, to be quite honest with you, we would have dealt with him. But in any event, now this neighbor is saying, well, what I want is just one owner to the rear of me. Well, the only way we could do that is to increase the request for an additional 50 feet. In my discussions with Mr. Burgess, we've sort of figured it out. It's about 91 feet. We had the meeting with Mr. Burgess in the presence of both of the estate trustees. And in principle, the estate trustees are not opposed to increase the request. The concern is, of course, these purchasers wanted an extra 50 feet, not an extra 93 feet, so they might not be willing to pay for it. And if that transpires, well, we'll have succeeded perhaps to have got a severance for the next door neighbor, but not for the purchaser. So what I've said to Mr. Burgess is basically, you know, we have no objections to increase the size of the parcel that's a subject of the severance from a 50-foot depth to approximately a 91-foot depth. And the nature of the application itself is just a lot addition because the severance has been approved, and as a matter of law, that property that fronts on Malden Road is a separate and distinct lot. Now, I've also looked at the staff report, and forgive me, members of the committee, I'm going to direct some of this commentary to Mr. Burgess from an implementation standpoint. I notice, Mr. Burgess, at paragraph 3 of your recommendation, you say that the Secretary Treasurer be provided with an undertaking from the applicant solicitor confirming that each severed portion of the land shall be consolidated with the abutting property. I have no objections to that, but conceptually, there's two abutting properties. There's the farm itself and there's the lot. So we have to be careful in our wording. I think I know what you mean, and I'm good with that, but we have to be careful with the wording or else we'll be in an impossible situation. Go ahead, Mr. Burgess.
I will confirm that the intent of that condition is that the lot addition is to be merged with the appropriate abutting lot to which you sell the property to.
The one that fronts on Malden Road.
The intent is that it's to be attached to the one on Front Road, and if that transaction does continue to occur, and that's the property that we would need the undertaking for.
Mr. Burgess, while we're on that point, let me ask the obvious. What if these people, this Beadle and his common law wife, get upset and don't want to pay for an extra 93 feet? And you know, and let's say we're prepared to gift it to them, but they don't want it. I guess my point is, does that mean we'll have to reapply for a severance for the abutting neighbor on Martin Lane because he wants it as well?
So
go ahead.
So I guess the comment would be is at this point, what I'm suggesting to the committee is a recommended measure to take is that the 91 feet will enable the better development of the subject land of the lot addition and the home which they were proposing and and the property will better develop, as well as it's a more regular lot line. You know, in hindsight, in looking back at the application, it should have been at the 91 feet. I think this is a, with your client's agreement, I think this makes for a better lot addition than what was previously proposed. If the applicant, or if the new purchaser in a year's time, 6 months' time, 3 months' time, wants to come back to the committee to do a lot addition from himself to the abutting property because they no longer want that property, or that it's not needed after they've gone through the process of finalizing their lot addition, finalizing their building on the property, then again, it's something that the committee at that time can consider. But at this time, the recommendation is that, you know, that the whole of that proposed lot addition should be merged with the property which you've made your application based on.
Okay. The other thing, Mr. Burgess, that I noticed, referring to your paragraph number 5.
That's correct.
I don't have any problems. As you know, I don't have any problems with that. Not only do I have no problems with that, I managed to get the cooperation of the purchasers to go out of pocket and to come up with a grading plan and so forth. So I'm wondering how the mechanics of that is going to work, because from a practical standpoint, if we get the severance, rather than have us agree to the matters that are number 5, wouldn't you want the Beadle and his wife to enter into that? Because they're the ones who are going to be building the new house in the garage, as appears on the plans before the committee.
So at this time, the committee has the authority, and the town has the authority to enter into the agreement with the owner of the property. So basically what we'll be expecting is that the lot grading plan would be amended. There's going to be it's going to be necessary for them to do further work to it. There's additional grades and additional information that's going to be necessary.
Yep.
So based on all of that information that they end up providing us, then we will strike the agreement. We'll send it back to yourself. You and your clients can review it. And what I would suggest is that you would also send it to the other party just to make them aware, because the agreement will follow with title. So once the transaction takes place, there will be further obligations on those individuals.
Okay, so
Typically, when a lot is created, we have these agreements when we have issues where there's potential drainage, and when we have the need for these septic systems, and we have these interactions with abutting properties. We always prefer to have agreements in place so that we can better protect all the abutting properties. So the agreement would be entered into with yourself, or yourselves, your client, and then again, it would be passed on to the new purchaser.
yeah, what I can do, I can prepare a private document that basically, once the purchasers are satisfied, we'll sign it, our people are sign it, and I'll have an assignment agreement, which basically says that the new buyers are picking up all of the tab and we'll be done.
Yeah, and typically, like I said, our agreements, if you're going to request that assignment, then what we would do is we would work through the logistics with our solicitor to see that that gets taken care of.
Yeah, okay. So I guess the members of the committee can see that we spend quite a bit of time on this application for severance with LaSalle to make sure that all of the planning policies of LaSalle, both the official plan and the zoning bylaws, are met fully, and that we've conducted this application entirely in good faith. So I would ask the members of the committee to look favorably upon this application.
Thank you, Mr. DiPerodomenico. Committee members, do you have any questions of Mr. DiPerodomenico? No, seeing none. Do the committee members have any questions for administration that may not have already been discussed? Seeing none.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry, Vince, go ahead.
Yeah, can I refer to page 120? I physically can't picture where all this stuff is. So on page 120, we have Malden Road at the right-hand side. And then we have a piece of property, and then at the end of it, 50 feet. So is the, where's Martin Lane?
Martin Lane, Mr. Marcotte, Martin Lane would be to the right or going, yeah, if
To the
you're
right.
looking at the application and you see the survey where there's the septic bed, where it says, you see that rectangular box at the front of
Yeah.
the lot? So Martin Lane would be traveling towards towards the dashed line at the far end of the sketch. Mr. Burgess, help me out.
No problem. So Vince, when you're looking at the image that we attached was the lot grading plan. So you'll see there's Malden Road. This is just,
So Malden Road is at the top, number 120 is at the bottom. So where's Martin Lane?
so Martin Lane would be to your left. So if you go along the left, as you're going left along Malden Road or if you follow the north arrow, there's a north arrow on the image.
If you say so. Looking for it.
So you see where it has Malden Road?
Yeah.
So right beside Malden Road, there's a north arrow.
Not on my sheet, but anyways,
Yeah,
I
it's
believe
cut
it.
off. Yeah.
Is it to your left?
It is to our left. It is to your left. If Malden Road is at the top of your page, then Martin Lane is to the left.
So Martin Lane abuts that property?
No. So what there is there's approximately 2 properties that are between the existing vacant lot. So there's the directly beside this, there is the dwelling at 8385 Malden. There is an additional dwelling, and then you're basically at the corner at Martin Lane. So basically there's 1 lot depth of properties from Martin Lane that would abut this property. So when you're coming from the corner of Martin Lane and Malden and you come down, the first home fronting onto Martin Lane backs onto a portion of the existing lot and the original proposed lot addition. So what we are doing, if the amendment, if my recommendation goes forward, is that part 1 would be expanded, so it would get deeper, so that basically the individual who lives on Martin Lane would only still have 1 neighbor, and it would be just this 1 property would abut it. And basically it makes a more regular, lot line.
So right where number 120 is on my page, that solid line just on top of it, is that the back of the house on Martin Lane?
So the back of the home on Martin Lane, you should be able to see there should be part 1 and then it's a 12R
7261.
7261.
Correct.
Okay, that is the rear of the home on Martin Lane.
Yeah, that's the unhappy neighbor.
So that's,
So what we would be
and
doing,
you're 50 feet, that's at the bottom of this, the 50 feet, you want to move that to 91,
that's correct.
which
So-
brings it to the corner of the other guy's backyard.
That's correct. So
That's
that
correct.
therefore the individual on Martin Lane will only have 1 rear neighbor. There won't be multiple rear neighbors. And that was one of the points that he was raising in his concerns. It also, in the town's view, it also gives some additional flexibility so that when the designer completes the the complete design of the septic system. And they start looking at the driveway approaches, and the location of this garage that's on within the main residence. They may still have to tweak that home. They may actually have to pull it back a little bit further on the lot. And if they do so, then we need to be able to possibly turn that septic system. So this additional 50 feet will again give them a better opportunity to be more flexible with the design of the septic system and the overall design for the property.
So when you're going with 91 feet, just to be clear, right now, 50-foot extension is at an angle. So it's 50 feet.
And it would continue at the same angle because that angle is following the angle of Malden Road.
Okay.
But Mr. Burgess, under your proposal, I think Mr. Marcotte has, I think I'm seeing what Mr. Marcotte is contemplating. I think Mr. Marcotte
Where the
is
property off?
No, when you go 91 feet, that the new addition won't be like a parallelogram. It'll end up being like a trapezoid.
No,
Because
no,
you go to 90
sorry, the intent is that it would be, the proposed lot addition would be 91 feet on the north side, and it would also be 91 feet on the south side.
Okay,
that-
thank you.
So it would just go back, like basically instead of the two lot lines being at 50 feet, the lot addition, the two lot lines would be 91 feet.
Yeah, you're basically saying the same shape, but instead of 50 feet deep, it'll be 91 feet deep.
Just gets.
Okay, then and who actually owns a property right behind our reserve? That's still part of the farm.
That is all part of the estate's property.
So whether it's at an angle or whether it's straight, it's irrelevant. It's all the same farm.
Yes.
That's been covered off in 76 or
86.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Nice seeing you, by the way, Mr. Marcotte. I haven't seen you in years.
Been a while.
Okay.
Okay, so I think I understand it now.
Any other questions of administration? No. All right, having heard any comments, concerns made by administration, agencies, the public, is the committee ready to make a decision? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Vince, a seconder?
At 91 feet.
Jim? All in favor? That carries. Thank you, Mr. DeParadimedico.
Thank you very much, members of the committee, and I hope we can do this again by Zoom very soon.
Seems to be working pretty well.
It does, yes.
Okay. So the sixth matter for consideration tonight, application number 6, B0820, file number 4094, 248 and 252 Jewel Street, consent application 2955831 Ontario Incorporated, in care of Mark and Maria Mateus. It's an application for consent to sever a parcel of land to construct a semi-detached dwelling. Mr. and Mrs. Mateo, you may speak to the matter. Please introduce yourself and provide a brief explanation of your application. And please confirm that you've read and understood the report.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. Thanks for your time this afternoon. My name is Mark Matisse. I'm the applicant and agent. Our application is for the severance of a parcel of land located on Jewel Street. We have read the staff report. We understand that there is a change though. On page 2, the item number 4 should state July 22nd, 2021 and not 2020. We confirmed that with Ryan this past week. I just want to make sure that's captured.
That is
Yeah,
part of the
It's
decision.
noted, yeah.
Okay, very good, thank you. Okay, so again, our application is for the severance of a parcel that's located on Jewel Street. It's the last vacant property located on the south side of the road, closest to Front Road. It's a roughly 84.5 frontage property. We'd like to break that into 2 equal parcels so that we could build 2 semi-detached houses on there.
Okay. Committee members, do you have any questions of Mr. Matisse? Seeing none. Committee members, do you have any questions of administration? Also seeing none. Having heard any comments or concerns made by administration, agencies, and the public, is the committee ready to make a decision? Do we have a motion? Val, seconded by Vince. All in favor? That carries. Thank you, Mr. Matisse.
Great, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Our next meeting date is Wednesday, October the 19th at 2020 at 5:30 PM. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Oh, sorry, Al. Go ahead.
I believe that was August. I do like the thought of October because then we might not be in COVID.
My apologies. I got ahead of myself. Let me restate that. The date of the next meeting is Wednesday, October the 19th, 2020 at 5:30 PM. All right,
August.
August,
Yeah.
correct.
Oh, sorry, we were hearing October.
August the 19th, 2020 at 5:30 PM. August, awesome. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Jim? Thank you very much, everybody. Do we have a seconder? Teresa, oh, Val and Teresa. And that carries. Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. This Zoom meeting seems to have been a success and no real issues, and the bugs were worked out. So thanks, everybody. And